Okay, so I'll just start talking about the class we're going to do today. Today we are going to do another flow-based class. So if you've not done yoga with me before, that just means the structure is we start with an activation and warm-up. We then do our Surya Namaskar, our sun salutations. We then do a flow-based sequence part of the class, and then a few more poses on the mat with inversions, and we finish in Shavasana. Other things as well, just to note, if you're not sure whether you should be exercising, please double check before you do. The other thing is always value form over reps. Doing your exercises correctly means you'll get stronger more quickly and you won't hurt yourself. So in the class, you need to be mindful, create that mind-muscle connection, and make sure that you know the difference between pain, where it's destructive and you're hurting yourself or potentially going to injure yourself, and pushing hard. So of course pushing hard is the goal, hurting ourselves is not. So I think maybe we shall move over onto our mats and start our class. So thanks to everyone for joining. Just for those joining now, we're doing a flow-based class today. So moving across onto the mats, come into a comfortable meditative position. So the goal here is just to try and make sure that you've got a nice long spine, length in the spine, sitting up straight. So if it's easier to sit cross-legged, please feel free to do so. If you also find that slightly different, you can always grab a block or a blanket or whatever it is, just to raise you up ever so slightly and give you a nice long spine. Let's double check. Okay, great. So, closing those eyes, bringing the palms onto the knees, and slowly just becoming present on your mat. Bringing your awareness between the eyebrows and slowly beginning to focus on the breath. Deep inhales and exhales. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. We'll take a moment now to do our sankalp, our intention, a short positive statement. It can be an intention for the class or an intention for the year. But something personal to you that you'd like to achieve. Repeat it to yourself 3 times. Bringing the arms now up over your head, interlacing the fingers if that feels comfortable, and sending the palms up towards the ceiling. Try not to arch the back here, rather you're sending the crown towards the ceiling. Trying to grow, creating space between each of those vertebrae. Supporting with the abdominal muscles as well. And slowly releasing the hands, bringing them down to the side, gently beginning to twist to the left. Nothing crazy, we're just warming up here. Coming back to center, twisting to the right. Coming back to center. Interlacing the fingers again and just stretching out towards the front of the room, pulling those shoulder blades apart. And bringing the hands onto the lower back and just gently doing a bit of a gentle back bend. And slowly coming back, slowly opening the eyes. We're going to begin our warm-up and we're going to come down onto our mats with our knees bent, making sure that our feet are a comfortable distance from our hips. As I've said before, the further away your feet are, the more we engage our hamstrings, but obviously you don't want them too close, and the myth of that you need to touch your heels is just that, a myth. So finding a nice neutral pelvis, so you can, to find that as well, you can really tip that tailbone towards your nose and then send it down into the mat and really arch through the back. In between those two is where we find our nice neutral pelvis. So whilst you might have a little bit of room underneath the back, there should not be a gaping hole sending you to an anterior tilt. A lot of women these days seem to be guilty of getting into habits that we're constantly in an anterior tilt. So really thinking about bringing that tailbone up and stabilizing through those abdominal muscles. We're going to come into our low bridge. So sending those hips up, keeping the pelvis neutral. Thinking now about the feet, we're pushing equally through the toes, well, the mounds of the toes, the heels, and you should start to feel those glutes start to engage. For a little extra, you can actually almost find those sit bones and put your fingers in there, and now think about dialing those feet out and feeling those glutes turn on even more. We really want these working when we start to exercise. They really help support and are the biggest muscles in our bodies. So we definitely don't want them asleep. Bringing the arms up, you're going to take the left hand, pulling the four fingers of the right hand down towards you, sending the thumb out towards the side and really just stretching through that wrist. While we're here, you can begin to do just gentle pulses, squeezes in that bridge, really beginning to fire up those glutes. And switching hands, so pulling the left four fingers down towards you, left thumb is going out towards the side, and not forgetting about those hips pushing through the feet. Those glutes are beginning to realize they have to work. Releasing, doing a few wrist circles and reverse, and slowly bringing the hands down. You can stop the pulsing now, and we're going to think now about raising those heels off the mat, pushing into the big toe, into the mound of the big toe, not allowing that weight to fall out towards the pinky toe. Also being mindful of where your knees are. They're also not falling out towards the side or collapsing inwards. And two more, really pushing, waking up those calves, and slowly releasing down vertebra by vertebra and coming down. We'll start our ab work. So thinking about those ribs softening so that we're already beginning to engage those upper abdominals. As you do a full exhale, as you're squeezing it out, you should start to feel what that should feel like. Then thinking to really course it all the way around with the abdominals. The belly button, as we come up, will want to be going down towards the back body. So interlacing those hands behind the head, bringing the elbows up next to the ears. The hands are here purely for the head to rest in. There's no yanking or pulling the neck forward as we do this. So as we exhale, coming up, thinking about that belly button going down towards no pooching here. Tailbone is pushing into the floor, shoulder blades come off the mat. And inhale, coming down, and exhale, coming up. Right knee comes up over the right hip, squeezing up, and foot comes down, inhale down, exhale, coming up. Left knee over left hip, belly button pulling down towards the back body. Inhale, coming down. And exhale, coming up, right knee over the right hip. Now here we're going to tap the right foot onto the left knee, but we're not wanting to move that pelvis. So really stabilizing, thinking about those lower abdominals supporting you. Back to center and slowly coming down. And exhale, coming up. Shoulder blades off the mat, left knee over left hip, tapping left ankle onto the right knee. Not dipping down onto the shoulder blades. Coming back to center, foot down, inhale down. Exhale, coming up. Right knee over right hip. Left ankle taps onto that, right ankle taps onto that left knee, and then pulling the left knee in towards you. Here as well, stabilizing through those hips and not allowing the shoulders to fall back down. And dropping back to center, releasing the foot, coming back down. And exhale, coming up. Left knee over left hip, tapping that left ankle onto the right knee, pulling the right knee in towards you, coming up, and slowly coming back, releasing that left foot, and coming down. One last, exhale, coming up, right knee over right hip, right ankle on the left knee, pulling in towards you. Now from here, come up slightly more and twist towards the right. Staying off that right shoulder, coming back to center and slowly releasing, coming down. Exhale, coming up, left, tapping the left ankle onto the right knee, pulling that right knee in towards you, really using those lower abdominals and twisting gently towards the left. Don't sink that left shoulder blade, back to center and releasing down. So that should feel good. You should feel like you're starting to warm up there, that those glutes and abdominal muscles are going to be ready to support us now in the rest of the class. So coming into our quadruped position, we want our wrists under our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. Often we tend to send the hips way too far back, so it's much better to bring the knees in slightly closer than outwards, because that means we're really able to stabilize through the pelvis and avoid any arching in the back. So all that work that we've just done now, we're going to take the right leg back and bring it, squeeze it up, and then taking the left arm out in front as well alongside the ear. So we're in bird dog here. We're also not arching up, staying nice and strong through those abs, being mindful of that right shoulder and pushing through the whole of that right hand. Slowly coming back to center and switching left leg back, squeezing up, right arm alongside the right ear, not tipping up pelvis here either and compensating. You're really trying to hold yourself and support yourself through those abdominal muscles, and that hip is working hard as well, that glute. And coming back. Both together, we're going to do the left hand, right leg back, squeezing, pushing through the hand on the floor, through all of those, rooting through the fingers, and back. Right arm, left leg, not allowing the shoulder to creep up next to the ear, the left shoulder, and coming back. Two more. We've got left and right leg, back to center, right arm, left leg, and squeezing back down. Left arm, right leg, and from here we're now going to squeeze and do a crunch. We're also trying not to tip our pelvis all the way under. You're being nice and stable through that pelvis and using that right glute. And squeeze in. We've got 2 more. Sending it back, crunching in towards the midsection, sending it back. Last one, sending it back. So you're really having to use initiating the movement from the abdominals as opposed to just being a leg and arm exercise. So taking the right arm, left leg back, and crunching it in towards the midsection. And sending it back, crunching into the midline, and back. 2 more. Not forgetting about the grounded hand and that shoulder. And last one, squeezing that left glute and coming back. From here, we're going to warm up our shoulders a little bit more as well. We're going to do our scapular push-ups. So, wrists underneath the shoulders, and we're not allowing our shoulders to land up next to the ears. Staying stable through the pelvis as well. We're not spilling our gut. So all that activation work that we've done, sucking ourselves up and squeezing the shoulder blades together. Pushing away. Squeezing the shoulder blades together and pushing into the floor and away, into protraction. Our neck, check in there. We're not straining that either. And we've got 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. And last one. We're going to come down now into dolphin. So from this position you can either have your forearms parallel, pushing through the palms, or you can interlace the fingers, whatever is most comfortable for you. So with our forearms on the mat, you're going to think about puffing up through those shoulder blades, releasing the head, and then you're slowly going to send the hips up. So keeping the knees bent for now, and we're just also warming up these shoulders, pushing through the hands, through the forearms, and using those abdominal muscles. So we've got 2 breaths here. Really focusing on not forgetting to breathe and gently bringing the knees down. You can push back into child's pose for a second and slowly coming back up. We're going to come into our first down dog. So pushing through the hands here as well, sending the hips up towards the ceiling, and we're gently going to bicycle those knees. Opening up the calves, and then thinking about the hands, pushing through each of those fingers, rooting through the mounds, so that you really begin to feel your shoulders beginning to engage. From here, you're going to take the right leg up towards the ceiling, bringing it back down and out towards the side. So back up towards the ceiling, keeping our pelvis nice and neutral. So this movement is coming from the hips out to the side, and one last to the back, and out to the side, and coming back. Switching legs. Left leg up towards the ceiling, squeezing that glute, bringing it down with control. Out towards the side, back up towards the ceiling, and out to the side. Here as well, it's not how big the movement is, rather how well you can control it. And out to the side, and slowly coming back. Sending that right leg back up towards the ceiling. You're now going to bring that knee in towards the chest and kick it out back behind. 2 more, in towards the chest. We're going to do this in our flow section as well. Squeezing with those abs. Up towards the ceiling, squeezing it in, keeping stable through the pelvis, bringing that foot down. Left heel up towards the ceiling, squeezing it in towards the chest, pushing through those hands. Out behind you, squeezing that left hip, and in towards the chest. One last, out behind, in towards that chest,
and releasing that foot down. We're going to take the right leg up towards the ceiling, and then we're just going to bring it in between the palms as we come up into our 90-90 lunge. You're going to rest your right hand onto that left glute, reminding it needs to work and support and stabilize you as you hear. Left arm next to the ear, thinking about pulling that right foot towards you and squeezing that glute. Inhale, and we're going to exhale, gently coming over towards the right hand side, feeling a nice stretch all the way through that left side. And exhale, coming down. One more. And slowly coming down. Placing the left palm next to that right foot, we're going to come into our modified side plank. Left shoulder is not coming up next to the ears, and we're turning the hip out, bringing the right arm up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to do 8 pulses. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to bring that right foot next to that left palm, lift that left knee, and we're going to come into our crescent lunge. So still thinking about that left hip working, settling into that left shoulder, it's stabilizing you, and you can release that neck. And from here you're going to turn towards the side of your mat and come round to face the back of your mat. Right palm you're going to plant next to the left foot, and we're going to come into our crescent lunge on the other side. Right glute is now having to work and really stabilizing through that scapula, leaning into that right shoulder, trying not to allow the movement and the twist to come from the pelvis and from the hips. From there, we're slowly going to bring our right knee down, coming into our 90-90 lunge on the other side. Left hand is going to rest just above the right glute. Right arm comes up next to the right ear. Thinking about that right foot, pulling back on the mat towards your right knee, squeezing and turning that right glute on, and gently we're going to bend to the left and coming back, thinking about the crown as well, extending up towards the ceiling and then towards the side. And slowly coming back, placing the right palm down onto the mat. We're going to come into our modified side plank on the other side. So wrist is underneath the shoulder. Shoulder is not coming up next to the ears. Left arm extends once you've found your positioning, and we're just going to do our pulses. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bringing the left palm down towards the mat, stepping back into plank. Squeezing those glutes, pushing through the shoulders. We're going to dip the knees and come all the way down to the mat in one movement. And inhale, coming up into cobra, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Pushing the tops of the feet into the mat, squeezing those glutes. Exhale. You're going to push back into down dog, walk your feet in ever so slightly, and then start to walk the hands back towards the feet, and we come into a nice squat. Keeping the hands on the mat, releasing the neck, thinking about those hip bones really pushing back into the hip socket. And from there, we're gently going to roll up vertebra by vertebra, the head, the last to come up. So from here, we're now going to do our Surya Namaskar, our sun salutations. We're going to do 16 of them today, really warm up our bodies, and then we'll do the flow section of the class. We'll do the first couple nice and slowly, and after that, we will come back and do the rest at a nice, trying to find a nice rhythm as you move through them. So feet hip distance apart, pushing through the whole of the foot, thinking about the toes, the heels, the big mound of the big toe and the pinkies. You're trying to make sure that your weight is evenly distributed. You're not compensating to any one side. From there, the ankles, the knees stack on top of the ankles, hips on top of the knees, shoulders on top of the hips. Not allowing yourself to come into your anterior tilt. You're really thinking about bringing it back, creating that nice corseting feeling through the abdominals, squeezing those glutes as well to support you. Palms come in the center of the chest. We're going to take 2 deep breaths here. So inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, inhale, exhale. On the next inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up next to the ears, growing tall up, sending the crown up towards the ceiling, and then gently, not forgetting to squeeze those glutes, you can come into a gentle back bend. And exhale, hinging at those hips. Fingertips come to the floor, keeping those knees soft to begin with. Releasing the head. Nice deep breaths. Inhale, taking the right leg back. We're coming into Aswasanchalan, into our low lunge. We're pushing through those fingertips. Right glute is working in this position as well. Abs are engaged. Exhale, both legs back, coming into plank. So we're trying not to protract too much up through the shoulders. You really want to come back having a neutral scapular position. Squeezing those glutes. You feel as if there's a magnet also pulling between those thighs. And dipping the knees. Keeping the glutes firing and those abs, you're going to gently come down to the mat. Inhale, coming up into cobra. Pushing through the tops of the feet. Squeezing those glutes here as well. Shoulder blades. Squeezing, coming together. And exhale, you can push back onto the knees and then send your hips up into down dog and step those feet slightly forward if you need to. Pushing through the hands, pushing through the feet, thinking about that tailbone going up towards the ceiling. Even though we're in down dog here, you're still supporting with those abs, not allowing them to just spill all over and let go. Inhale, bring the right foot in between the palms, left glute is working, and exhale, both feet together. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, left leg back. Both legs. You can dip the knees, release down to the mat without allowing those shoulders to drop forwards. Exhale, squeezing the shoulders, squeezing the glutes, and pushing into the tops of the feet. Exhale, back into down dog. Walk those feet in if you need to. Inhale, bringing the left foot between the palms and both feet. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hinge forward. Right leg back. Both legs back. Now you can either dip the knees or go down in one movement. And inhale, coming up into cobra, squeezing the shoulders, the glutes. Exhale. Walk the feet forward if you need. Inhale, right foot between the palms. Exhale, both. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hinging forward. Left leg back. Both legs back. Dipping down. Inhale into cobra. Exhale into down dog. Inhale, left foot comes forward. Both feet come forward. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming down. Right leg back, both legs back. Now remember, you can go at your own pace, whatever feels most comfortable for you. If this is too much, push back at any time into your child's pose. Get your breath back and then start again. Exhale, hinging forward, left leg back. Both legs back. Either dip the knees and come down or straight down. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, coming back. Inhale, left leg in front. Together. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward. Right leg back. Both legs back. Dip. Inhale, cobra. Exhale. Inhale, right leg front. Both together. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hinge forward. Left leg back. Both legs back into plank. Not allowing that weight to sink forward over those shoulders, going straight down. Inhale into cobra, squeezing the shoulders and glutes. Exhale. Inhale, left foot forward. Both feet. Inhale up. Exhale down. Right leg back. Both plank. Hold your breath, dip down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right leg front. Both legs. Inhale up. Exhale, hinging forward. Left leg back. Both legs back, plank. Dipping down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left leg forward. Both legs. We've done 10, we've got 6 to go. Inhale. Hinge forward. Right leg back. Both legs back. Dipping down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right leg forward. Both legs forward. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming down. Left leg back. Both legs back. Dipping down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, left foot comes forward. Both legs come forward. Inhale, coming up. Hinging forward. Right leg back. Both legs back. Dipping down to the mat. Inhale into cobra. Exhale into down dog. Inhale, right leg comes forward. Both legs come forward. Keeping the movements nice and soft on the mat. Exhale, coming down. Left leg back. Both legs back. Dipping down to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale into down dog. Inhale, left leg comes forward. Both come forward. Inhale, two left. Hinging forward at the hips. Right leg back. Both legs back into plank. Dipping down to the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Right leg comes forward. Both come forward. Inhale, coming up. Last one. Exhale, we'll go nice and slow. Fingertips to the floor. Releasing the head. Inhale, left leg comes back. Left glute is on and squeezing. We're pushing through that right foot as well. Pushing into the back toes. Both legs come back into plank. Be mindful of your positioning. Where's your scapula? Squeezing those glutes. The magnets between those inner thighs are on. From here, don't shift the weight forward. It's much more difficult as well to go straight down. So we're really going to use those triceps. Holding the breath as you do that. We inhale, coming up into cobra. Squeezing the glutes. Squeezing the shoulders. Pushing back into down dog, and we're going to do 2 deep breaths here. Walk those feet in if you need to. Pushing through those hands. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. On the next inhale, we're going to inhale, stepping that left foot in between the palms. Both between the inhale, coming up. Exhale, palms come into prayer position. So, take a moment here, letting your breath return to normal. Trying to wait for your breath and your heart rate to sort of come down a little before you start having a sip of water.
Next section of the class, we're going to be doing the flow section. So here as well, if at any point you find you're losing your balance, just take a moment, reset, and then keep going. We're going to flow from one pose to the next, similar to obviously what we've just kind of done in the Surya Namaskar, because you should be nice and warm now. Thinking about those corseting abdominal muscles and the glutes all supporting you, so that all your movements are driven from this powerhouse here, and they're not just arm and leg movements. Being mindful, mind, muscle connection as well as to what's firing. Okay, so we're going to come to the front of your mat, but now depending on how much space you have, I don't have too much, I'm not going to go too far to the front, because we're going to come into our warrior 3. So you just want to make sure that your arms can extend towards the front and your leg can come up from behind. So, standing, feet hip distance apart, spreading those toes, making sure your weight is equally distributed between both feet and equally through each of the feet individually as well. Palms in the center of the chest. We're going to inhale and exhale, hinging at the hips. Bringing the fingertips down, you can still keep your knees soft if you need to. And we're going to inhale, taking that right leg back, coming into our low lunge. From here, your feet are going to be on 2 separate planes. We're going to come up into our high lunge initially, thinking about that right hip working and those abs. From here, we're going to come into our humble warrior variation. So just gently, we're going to keep the arms alongside next to the ears, pushing through the mound of the big toe here, not allowing the knee to collapse either way. And from here, loading that front foot, we're going to come into our warrior 3. Squeezing that right glute. Keeping the arms where they are, we're slowly going to come up, bringing the right foot through and kicking it forward, using those hip flexors. Inhale, we're going to send it back, and we're going to side lunge on the right leg. Slowly coming back, swiveling back towards the front of the mat. Arms come back up alongside the ears. Coming forward into our humble warrior again. Glute is working, so those abdominals. Loading that left foot now, coming forward into our warrior 3. Keeping those hips parallel towards the floor. Slowly coming up, bringing the right leg through, using that hip flexor. Exhale, sending it back. Right low lunge on the right side. Slowly coming, swiveling back to the front of the mat. Arms raised once again alongside those ears. Squeezing the glute and the abdominals. Gently leaning forward into our humble warrior variation. Loading that left foot. We're going to come forward into our warrior 3. Abs are working hard, slowly coming up, kicking that right leg forward and back side into a low lunge on the right. From there, swiveling, turning towards the back of your mat in a low lunge, planting the palms, kicking that right leg up behind you into 3-legged dog. So like we did in the warm-up, you're going to bring that knee in towards the chest, keeping that pelvis neutral. Exhale, sending it out behind. Now we're going to inhale, bringing that right knee to the left elbow and kicking it out behind. Bringing the right knee into the chest, kicking it back up behind, and right knee, left elbow, squeezing. Exhale, taking it for 2 more. Knee towards the chest, taking it back out behind. Right knee, left elbow.
Last one here. Taking that right leg up towards the ceiling, knee into the chest. Kicking it back out. Right knee, left elbow. Sending the right leg out behind. You're now going to step that right foot halfway towards those hands, because we're going to come back up into a nice high lunge. Left glutes turned on, abdominals as well. We're going to gently come forward. We're going to repeat now on the other side into our humble warrior. Loading the right foot, coming up into warrior 3. Squeezing that left hip and kicking the left leg through, hip flexor working. Exhale, low lunge to the left, side lunge to the left. Swiveling back to the front of the mat, arms come up alongside the ears. Gently leaning forward into our humble warrior. Don't forget about those abs supporting you and the glutes. Loading that front foot, and we're coming up into our warrior 3. Keeping the arms where they are. If it's too difficult, bring them into prayer pose as you come forward, bringing the left leg forward. Try to keep your pelvis neutral as well. Stepping back into a left side lunge. Inhale, coming back, swiveling to the front of the mat. Arms come alongside the ears. Gently coming forward. Humble warrior variation. Loading that right front foot, and we're coming into our warrior 3. Slowly coming up, bringing that left leg forward, and slowly coming back, low lunge on the left side. Swiveling now back to the front of your mat, planting the palms. Exhale, you're going to send that left leg up towards the ceiling, 3-legged dog. Pushing through the hands, we're going to bring left knee in towards the chest, sending it back up towards the ceiling, and bring left knee to right elbow, squeeze. Exhale, sending it back up towards, bringing the left knee in towards the chest. Exhale, back up, left knee, right elbow, squeeze, using those obliques, sending it back up. Left knee into the chest, back up towards the ceiling, left knee, right elbow. And last time, up towards the ceiling, left knee in towards the chest, squeezing it back up and bringing it to the right elbow and sending it back up behind. Slowly bringing the feet down. We're going to roll forward into our plank. From there, we're going to come down into our forearm plank. So here, your pelvis is going to stay neutral, and we're just going to tap the knees down. 1, tapping left knee, right knee. The pelvis shouldn't be moving. If you had a block on it, it wouldn't fall. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From there, you're going to walk your feet in slightly, coming up into dolphin, almost using it as a rest position, pushing through those shoulders, slowly walking the legs back into our plank, squeezing those glutes, pushing through the shoulders, tapping our knees for another 10, right, left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And slowly releasing yourself down onto the mat. Bringing the arms into a goalpost position. We're going to come up into locust. So raising the front and the legs, squeezing those glutes, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Coming down onto the mat. Goalpost the arms. 2 more. Squeezing shoulder blades. Also not cranking the neck and looking up towards the ceiling. Slowly coming down. We've got 1 more. Squeezing, lifting the front body, the feet, squeezing those glutes. Feel them working there. And exhale down into the body. palms come alongside the chest, under the shoulders, pushing up into plank, pushing back into down dog, and stepping your left foot forward, both feet forward, and slowly coming up and exhaling down. So that was the flow section of the class. We'll now just come onto the mat for a few more poses, and then we'll finish with our inversions and our shavasana. So, taking a moment just to let that heart rate come down, the breath normalize and equalize, and we're going to come down, lying on the mat, knees bent. As always, we are thinking about our neutral pelvis, stabilizing through those abdominal muscles. We're going to do some single leg bridge work here as well. And what's important is, even though when we raise the one leg up towards the seat, you can keep it bent, whatever's most comfortable for you as well. If one leg is too difficult, you can do just the normal bridge and lift. But of course, here, the leg that's on the floor, you really wanting to push through the mound of the big toe, through the heel, through the foot, feeling that glute during the work and not compensating completely with the hamstring. So we're going to come into a bridge. We're going to bring our hands up alongside, up towards the ceiling. Here too, depending on your strength, if you're finding it too difficult, bring the arms down onto the mat. But often people compensate and push all the way through the arms to bring the hips and legs up. So you can start like this and then bring the hands up. You want to keep your pelvis neutral as well, pushing through that foot, and you're going to dip the hips down and push up. 10, 9, squeezing, feeling that glute. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, abs are working, and 1. Slowly bringing that leg down, switching legs, taking the left one up towards the ceiling, trying to keep your neutral pelvis here as well, and dipping down. 10, 9, 8, feeling that glute. 7, 6, 5, 4, pushing through the heel and the mound of that big toe. 3, 2, and 1. Bringing both legs down, coming down, pulling the knees in towards you, and just gently pulling them, and feeling a little bit of stretch, feeling those hip flexors. They've been working hard today as well. And slowly bringing those legs down. We're going to do one more. I know we've actually done quite a lot of abs today, but we're going to just do again bird dog, except now we're going to be doing it on our backs and just feeling the difference now as to how well you feel like your core is engaged. On the back, it's called dead bugs because, that's kind of what it looks like. So you bring your arms up, knees are coming above those hips as well. You're going to extend left and right arm. The right knee and the left arm that is left behind is not moving. So you're really having, and then you're bringing them back in towards each other. So right knee, right leg, left hand, coming back. Really thinking about what you're doing here. Looking at that knee, making sure it's not going. And got 15, 14, 13. If you feel like this is creeping into your lower back, stop, reset, and start again. All that work should be coming from the abs as well, not pooching. So thinking about that belly button going down towards the back body, stabilizing and supporting you there. The movement doesn't have to be big, so as far as you can make and control that movement is as far as you should go. So the goal is not to get the leg and the arm onto the floor. The goal is to make sure that the movement and the stabilization is happening from those deep abdominal muscles. And we've got 4, we've got 3, we've got 2, and we've got 1. And pulling those knees in towards you. Taking a breath here. You can rock side to side and then bringing the feet onto the mat, bent knees. You can take your arms out either side and you're just going to drop the knees to the left, pushing through the arch of that right foot and feeling a nice stretch all the way through that right hip. Deep breaths here. And slowly coming back into the center. And you're going to drop the knees now to the right, pushing through the arch of that left foot, feeling the stretch all the way through the front and side of that left hip. Slowly coming back into the center. We're going to do our inversions. So if you've never done shoulder stand, take the variation of either finding a wall and bringing your legs up alongside the wall, so that scooching your hips right alongside the wall and sending the legs up. From there you'll get just as much benefit. Otherwise, you can always take a block, putting it just under the tailbone there, and then sending those hips up towards the ceiling here as well. For those who are comfortable, we're going to come into shoulder stand. So from here, elbows are alongside the body. You're going to bend the knees, bring the knees towards the forehead, lifting the hips. Hands come to the lower back, and then you slowly walk the hands along the spine up towards the scapula, and then lift the legs. Also in this position, make sure your hairband has been adjusted and that you do not move your neck. It's important to keep looking up towards the toes, not spilling your guts either, staying mindful of those muscles supporting you. We've got 3 breaths here. Trying to avoid the legs coming over the head. You really want them to be all in one line. Slowly bringing the knees to the head. For those who want to, you can go into Halasana. So that's plow pose. Here's while thinking about those hip bones going deep in towards the sockets, creating almost a right angle, and then extending the toes up over and trying not to collapse in that midsection. Once your feet are down, you can release the hands. You can point the toes as well if you want, otherwise just staying on the tops of the feet and breathing. We've got 2 breaths here. Bringing the hands back, onto the back, bending one knee and then the other. And from there you're slowly going to roll back down to the mat, trying to do vertebra by vertebra and controlling the movement. Taking the legs straight, pointing the toes. We're going to come into Matsyasana, into fish pose. So here the hands come alongside the hips, onto the elbows. We're also trying to think about this as a thoracic back bend. So trying not to allow all the movement to come from that lower back. As you wiggle your hips kind of forward and you send the crown of your head down towards the mat, stretching the throat that we've just been constricting in our shoulder stand and our plow pose. Still supporting with those abdominals. And slowly releasing, coming down, and we're going to come into our Shavasana. So, legs stay straight, feet fall out towards the side, palms come alongside, palms facing up towards the ceiling. Adjusting your clothes so that while you're taking this moment to enjoy your Shavasana, you're not distracted by clothing being uncomfortable. Make sure your hair is in a good position. And if you feel like you might get cold, we're not doing an incredibly long Shavasana, but you can cover yourself or your eyes. Closing your eyes now. Bringing your attention into the center of the eyebrows and beginning to focus on the breath. Noticing how the chest rises up as you inhale and sinks back down as you exhale fully. Taking a moment to notice any areas within the body that feel tight. And with each breath and exhalation, just allowing them to release. We will begin with 10 deep breaths, starting at 10 and counting back to 0. If you lose your count, just begin again. The intention of meditation as well is not the absence of thought, it's the absence trail or train of thought. So if the thoughts come, allow them to come and just release them away.
extending one arm up over your head and then the other, stretching all the way from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes, bending one knee and then the other, gently turning to the right side, staying there for as long as you need, and slowly coming up to sit in a meditative posture. We'll finish the class now with some alternate nostril breathing. So bringing the right thumb to gently rest on the right nostril, the forefinger and middle finger gently resting on the third eye between the eyebrows, and the ring finger and pinky gently resting on the left nostril. Gently closing the right nostril with the thumb. We're going to inhale through the left for 3, 2, 1, blocking the left with the ring and pinky, releasing the right, exhaling through the right for 3, 2, 1, inhaling through the right, 3, 2, 1, blocking the right, exhaling through the left nostril, 3, 2, 1, inhaling through the left, 3, 2, 1, blocking the left nostril, exhaling through the right, 3, 2, 1, inhaling right, 3, 2, 1, blocking the right and exhaling through the left, 3, 2, 1. That is 2 rounds. Do another 3 on your own. Gently bringing the palms together, rubbing the palms, bringing them up over the eyes, over your heart, stomach, and we stay. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you again next Wednesday at 10. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me or drop us a